I remember the exact morning when everything started to break inside me. Even though from the outside my life looked successful. I had a job, I had a title, I wore clean clothes, I woke up early, I followed the rules. People said I was doing well, but inside my chest, something felt heavy every single day, like I was carrying a weight that never went away. That morning, my alarm rang at 5:30 a.m., just like every other day. And before I even opened my eyes, I felt tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that lives deep inside you. I stayed in bed for a few seconds, staring at the ceiling, asking myself the same question I asked every morning. Is this really my life? I got up anyway. I always did. I took a shower, dressed in the same clothes, ate the same fast breakfast, and left the house with the same empty feeling. The streets were full of people going to work, all moving in the same direction, all looking serious, quiet, and lost in their own thoughts. I was one of them. On the bus, I looked at my reflection in the window. My eyes looked older than my age. I didn't recognize the person staring back at me. I used to have dreams. I used to feel excited about the future. But now my only goal was to survive the day and come back home without exploding. When I arrived at the office, the building looked cold and gray, just like my mood. The lights were bright, but the place felt dark. I greeted my coworkers with a polite smile that I had practiced for years. Good morning, I said, even though it didn't feel good at all. I sat at my desk, turned on my computer, and started working. Emails, reports, deadlines, meetings, the same routine again and again, day after day. Time moved slowly there. Every minute felt like an hour. Every hour felt like a punishment. My boss was always watching, always asking for more speed, more results, more hours. Nothing was never enough. When I did something right, there was silence. When I made a small mistake, it became a big problem. I lived with fear in my stomach, fear of being late, fear of being wrong, fear of losing my job. That fear kept me obedient. It kept me quiet. It kept me stuck. Little by little, the job started to change me. I stopped laughing. I stopped talking. I stopped caring. At night, I couldn't sleep well. My mind was always working, even when my body was exhausted. I dreamed about deadlines. I dreamed about mistakes. I dreamed about my boss calling my name. I woke up tired, angry, and empty. On weekends, instead of resting, I felt anxious because Monday was coming. My life became a countdown to the next work day. My family noticed the change before I did. They said I looked different. They said I was always tired. They said I was never present. When we talked, my mind was somewhere else. Even when I was home, I was still at work. My body was there, but my soul wasn't. I started to feel guilty. Guilty for not being happy. Guilty for complaining. Because at least I had a job. Guilty for wanting more when so many people had less. One day, something inside me finally cracked. It was a normal day. Nothing special happened. No big argument. No big mistake. Just another long meeting where my boss talked and talked, and no one listened. I looked around the room and saw the faces of my coworkers. Tired eyes, forced smiles, silent frustration. And suddenly I realized something that scared me more than anything else. This could be my life forever. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Sitting in that chair, in that room, feeling exactly the same. My chest felt tight. My hands started to shake. My heart was beating fast. I couldn't breathe well. I thought I was sick. I thought I was dying. I left the room and went to the bathroom. I locked myself in a stall and sat on the floor, trying to calm down. That was my first panic attack. I didn't know the name at that time. I only knew that something was very wrong. After that day, everything became harder. My body started to speak because my mouth never did. Headaches, back pain, stomach pain, I was always sick. Doctors told me I was fine. They said it was stress. They told me to rest. But how do you rest when the thing destroying you is waiting for you every morning? I tried to be strong. I told myself I had no choice. I had bills to pay, responsibilities, a family to think about. Dreams don't pay rent, people said. Passion doesn't put food on the table. So I stayed. I stayed even when my mental health was falling apart. I stayed even when I hated what I was becoming. I stayed because I was afraid. Months passed, then years. I don't remember them clearly. They feel like a blur, like a long gray tunnel with no light at the end. I was alive, but I wasn't living. And the worst part was this: I started to believe that this was normal, that this pain was just part of being an adult, that life was supposed to feel like this. But deep inside me, very deep, there was a small voice that refused to die. A quiet voice that whispered at night when everything was silent. It said, "This is not your place." I tried to ignore it. I pushed it away. I told myself it was childish, unrealistic, dangerous. But the voice came back again and again. And then one day, something happened that changed everything. Not in a loud way, not in a dramatic way, but in a way that saved my life. I remember the first day of the new job very clearly. I arrived early, earlier than everyone else, not because I was excited, but because I was afraid. Afraid of failing again, afraid of disappointing myself one more time. The building was smaller, the office was simple, and the people were quiet but kind. No loud orders, no angry faces, just normal people drinking coffee and saying good morning, like it really mattered. I sat at my desk and waited, thinking, this is not a dream. This is real life. Let's see how long it lasts. At first, I did not trust it. I worked fast, too fast. I checked my email every 5 minutes. I waited for someone to shout my name or tell me I was doing everything wrong. But that moment never came. Instead, my manager came to my desk and said, If you need help, just ask. That sentence shocked me. No one had said that to me before. I realized something important that day. A job can challenge you without destroying you. Little by little, my body started to relax. I slept better. I ate better. I laughed again. I had energy after work, energy to live, not just to survive. I started to remember who I was before the stress, before the fear, before the job that broke me. I was not lazy. I was not weak. I was just in the wrong place for too long. One afternoon, while walking home, I stopped and looked at the sky. It sounds simple, maybe even silly, but it had been years since I really looked at the sky. I felt calm. I felt present. And in that moment, I understood something very deep. The job that saved me did not give me more money or more status. It gave me my life back. Today, when I think about that first job, I did not feel anger anymore. I feel gratitude. It taught me my limits. It taught me that success is not worth it if it costs your health, your family, or your soul. And the second job taught me something even more important. You are allowed to choose peace. If you're listening to this and you feel trapped, exhausted, or broken by your job, I want you to know this. Living does not mean you failed. Sometimes, living is the bravest decision you will ever make. Somewhere out there, there's a job, a place, or a path that will not destroy you, but help you heal. And when you find it, you will finally understand the difference between a job that takes everything from you and a job that gives you back yourself.